Right guys, a bit of project work. Decided I'm not going to put this in the weekly vlog because it'll make it too long. So, I've had nothing but stops, but I'm trying to get on and do a few jobs. Now as you can see, I've got the little Fiesta ready to go. The Corsa's ready for MOT tomorrow. I've shut the doors and I'm cracking on. Now, we all know, as I told you, bought this little van. Absolutely love it. You'll have to excuse that buzzing noise because the ignition's on. But it's got a little issue where it's poor starting, engine management lights coming on, and it's not in limp mode, but it just all the power just isn't there. And I kind of know what it already is. So, we've got the ignition's on, scanner's plugged in, here it is. We'll switch it on before we start work. Diagnostics, history will be there, Astra G. I had it plugged in the other day. And we'll just see, because I've given it a drive. Now what it is, it's a bit of a poor starter. When it's running, there's enough power there, but nothing what it should be. And the little engine management lights on. I knew that. That's part of the deal when I bought it. So diagnostics, control unit, engine. This is Z17DTL. See your DTH, they never did in this one, so you'll not find it. They never did the DTH in the Mark IV, only the Mark V, like Holly's car, my other Astra. Only difference, exactly the same engine. This has got a single vane turbo, an old-fashioned wastegate turbo, and the other ones have got a variable geometry, a VNT turbo. To me, I prefer these. They're a lot more low-down, torquey, kind of old-fashioned turbo pull. Only difference, 80 brake horsepower, variable vane, 100 brake horsepower. But the 100 brake horsepower ones can be tuned a lot more due to the variable geometry turbo. These can't. But trust us, these things pull along lovely with it. When that 80 brake's pulling at full power, these things absolutely fly. And remember, with diesels, you don't look at the brake horsepower, it's torque. And this has got none of the weight in the back like this has. So happy days. Like I said, we'll get to that later. More information to come. Z17DTL. So I want to get this ignition off to show you the codes, because that noise, I don't know if you can hear it, is annoying. Right. Trouble codes. And there we go. Exhaust gas recirculation flow excessive detected. Basically meaning the EGR... Right, that's it. I'm going to turn the ignition off. So there's the code. Exhaust gas recirculation excessive flow. So we'll delete that. Off. Back. Back. Just so I don't run my scanner out of battery. In fact, I'm going to turn that off because it's really annoying us. I always put the key on the roof. I'm just going to pull this out for now because it's going to be strip down time. Because I want to put the little scanner on charge. Right. Do you want to exit? Yes. And that awful noise, thankfully, has stopped. So, little bit of information, guys. You've already been through this a few times with us. EGR valve, exhaust gas recirculation valve. On this, nice and sort of easy from this point. There's your exhaust manifold, and it takes all the exhaust gases through the cooler and into the EGR valve, which is this bit. This is a little throttle body, little butterfly flap that opens and closes. So when you switch the engine off, that closes, and that shuts the engine off smoothly so it doesn't jerk. This is your EGR valve, and all them gases from the exhaust goes into there and through. But what you'll see when you open these are very different. You take this unit off, and inside there's two little holes like that, and I can guarantee there'll be like two mushrooms coming out of them full with soot. So what we're going to do is take this off, the intercooler pipe, take this off, which is your shut-off valve. Then we'll gain access into here, which we're going to clean it out. You can't remove these because they're a pig, because they've got the thermostat housing and everything at the bottom of them, so we will not be removing it. What I have got, I'm going to use little picks and stuff to clean it out, which you've seen me little tool box in here, just with little bits, like little hooks like that, to clean it out. This stuff, which I just bought from Home Bargains, you need that, trust us. Mr. Muscle oven cleaner, the foam type. Spray that in, leave it to soak, then re-clean it out. Also cleaning the throttle body. But what there is also on these is your map sensor, which is buried down here. So we're going to get on, I'm going to take this pipe off, airbox out. I'm not going to touch this today because I don't want to block the garage up, because it'll be not runnable when that comes off. So what I am going to do this evening, airbox off, this little swirl flap mounting off, out the way, get the map sensor out and give that a clean. But what I have discovered for this, which I've showed you on my weekly vlog, but I haven't actually showed here, I'm just going to get out before this book catches me head. I've got a box of goodies, a bag of goodies even. Get your words right, Dan. So, what have I bought? An air filter, because it's going to be stupid not to change it, because I'm taking it out. A fuel filter, 2-minute job on these, silly not to. An oiling filter, nice and easy, that can wait. And the pollen filter again. Yes, it's a Crossland one, because it was only £3 over a tenner. And a pollen filter, I don't care. Bosch air filter. What else? Yep, I've got to show you that. There's your fuel filter, proper Hengst one, proper Marley one, original equipment. Oil filter. I found this in my drawer, a brand spanking new auxiliary belt for a one with air conditioning, an Astra G CDTI, which is exactly what this is. That belt doesn't look too bad, but that's there. And I've also got, this is honestly the best stuff in the world, guys, for getting off sign writing. Now, if you haven't noticed from before, the phone number's off on both sides, and I've managed it with no damage whatsoever. Not even a mark, a scuff, or anything. Now, on to another question. Now, I've used this. Am I being a little bit old-fashioned, or am I being a little bit daft here, right? This van's been owned by this guy, Graham Buckland, I'm trying to see, from new. It's been, he's looked after it very well, which you can see by the odds mark and scuff, because it is a working vehicle. I think it adds a bit of character. I know I'm not a painter and decorator, and I know I'm not called Grim, but it's like if you're buying a Arriva bus. Some people like to leave the Arriva livery on it, or a Royal Mail van, they leave the Royal Mail on it. I don't know if this is a little nod to the guy who's looked after it. I might just leave it. I've took his phone number off, obviously. I live in Newcastle, he lives in Devon, so there's no issue of, like, people doing that. And my friend made a good point. He goes, if it's got paint and decorator written on, nobody's going to be interested in what's in the back, rather than a mechanic or something like that. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Should I take it off or should I leave it? Because I've got this stuff, which is brilliant. I keep this in my house. If you spill something on the floor, the carpet, the settee, this stuff gets it off, and it smells beautifully of orange, and it really does help for getting vinyl. I don't know if that's paint, handwritten with paint, but this, I've gotten this. This is brilliant. A vinyl decal remover, a whizzy wheel. I swear to God, these things have got such good reviews. I've been dying to use it, but the problem is, I'm deciding I think I'm going to keep this stuff on now, so I bought it for nothing. I may take it off if the people have an issue with it. But you just put this into your drill. Oh, we're trying to do things with one hand. Yeah, that's it there. I'm going to have to pause it. That's it there. Absolutely great. I don't know why. It smells of orange. It's got a really nice vanilla orange smell. Don't ask why, but it just has. And you put that into your drill, a cordless drill or a corded drill, and it just takes off any marks on caravans, paintwork, rubber scuffs, and sign writing. So, I don't know if I might want to keep it yet and leave it the way it is. Anyways, getting distracted, what we're going to do. Right, well, I've got all them bits there to do when I'm on here, but me being me, I've had hundreds of these over the years, and I had a one years ago that went to scrap, and I had put loads of new parts on it. So, I've got over £200 worth of bits here. I've got a brand spanking new map sensor. Now, this is what we're going to change down the back of the engine now, because these get clogged up. You've seen it on the Astra I did the other day. That lives down there in the intake manifold. Now, we're going to take that off, and I can bet you that hole there will be completely solid with cack. Plus, it'll be the original one. So we're going to put that one in. That's first up. Again, these are about probably 60, 70 quid or more. Save myself money. Put a Bosch one. I've got a cam sensor. This is the CDTI. So it's got a cam sensor for the common rail. That can cause non-start problems, but I do definitely know the non-start problems is coming from this EGR being stuck open and that sensor being blocked. But it's a good spare part to have. Again, 70, 80 quid. And a brand new, unused mass airflow meter. Again, genuine Bosch, in the box, never been used. This is the original, which looks a bit hard up. So, we're going to get this used as well. It's been sat there, and I was this close to throwing it all away the other week because it was in there. So I'm just going to use it. So we'll have a new mass airflow meter, a new turbo boost pressure sensor, a MAP sensor, manifold absolute pressure sensor, cam sensor, not going to change that, but it will be kept as a spare. I've got the belt. I may just stick it on if I've got it up on the lift. And when we strip this down, which will be on a separate video, I've bought an EGR blanking plate. Now, it's a blanking plate with a little hole like that drilled in it, that size, just to stop any management lights coming on, because I might not get it mapped out, because it's going to probably cost us a couple of £100, which I don't want to spend. So, we'll take this off, and where that pipe down there joins, which I'll show you in the video, a little blanking plate goes in there. So when it's stripped down, it will also be blanked off, and if it runs perfect after that, we know we've solved the problem. So, I'm going to crack on now. I would show you step by step, but it'll be pretty boring. Get the airbox off, get the covers off down the back of the engine, and we'll try and access this MAP sensor by the end of today. So I want to get that done, and like I said, the EGR will come tomorrow when I've got more time, and I haven't, like I said, it's 5 o'clock now. I should have had this stripped down. I've just had people stopping us all day. But I am at work, so I can't complain. I'm going to crack on and get this stripped down. Right, that's it stripped, and that's expected, what I was expecting to find. So, they're a right pain, as you'll see now. Everything's off, airbox, engine covers, you name it, all off, out the way. And it's down the back of the engine here. You've got your swirl flap actuator that you cannot really disconnect, and you've got to be very careful with. And the sensor lives just under there. And I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of faffy. You've got to take little brackets off and God knows what to get to it. And what I have done is cleaned in that hole down there, what leads into the engine. And this is the problem. So, this is the one that I was going to put in. As you can see, it's just a nice, open, clean hole into the sensor. When you look at that one, it's down to about the size, not even a third. I'll get the light on these just so I can show you a bit better. I will place them on here and on here. As you can see there, you can see the difference. That's how it should be, like the one I've got sitting there. That's how this one is. I've decided, because of the date stamp on them, this one has recently been changed. It's not original. And if you look there, dated 2019, that's totally normal for these to clog up like that, which is a good sign this EGR is going to be absolutely knackered. So we'll get that. That's for another day. But this one I've got been sat around since 2011. The bit there, 060111. So what I am going to do is give this a bit of a clean up. First up, I'm going to get the little pick in, which I showed you before, very gently, in to clean it out while it's dry, and then use the high pressure air, and then a little bit of Mr. Muscle, let it soak and rinse it out. So that's it, guys. I'll get back to you once I want to keep this, relatively short. Once I've got that back into place, we'll fire it up, see what it's like. While I've got the airbox out, I'll show you the filter. I've got no idea what that's going to be like, probably quite clean. And even just quickly do the fuel filter while it's there before we put it back together. Oh yes, and the mass airflow sensor while we're on. I haven't even looked at this, so you can share this with me. Anything on there? Yeah. They don't really do dates on these as such, but we'll check we've got the right one. So what's that? I'm trying to see through the camera. 0281002549. 002549. So it's the right one. We won't do any harm in just sticking the new one on. So yeah, why not? It's probably done its time. And I do know the other one I've got is new. So I'll catch you soon once we've got everything cleaned off, put back together, but the main stripped down job's probably going to be tomorrow or whenever I get time on the EGR and the inlet throttle body. You should really take off the main pipe down to the intake, but to be quite honest, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. So we'll just deal with the EGR first and get it blanked off once it's cleaned and see if it rectifies the problems. So I'll catch you soon, guys. Final update of the night. I just thought I'd show you what I've been up to. Right, so everything's back into place. I just need to found the light to show you. So that's everything back into place. As you can see, you can't even... That's the little screw head. That Allen key was very, very tight. I don't know why somebody hasn't greased the threads on it when they've changed it. Obviously dated to 2019. That's when it was changed. So that has been cleaned, as you've seen. put back in. And this unit here, which is your swirl flap actuator, it's got all sorts of little brackets, which leads to that. These pipes had been rubbing together, which I've separated because they weren't in that bracket properly. That's just a little fuel accumulator. That actually stops bubbling and vibration noises coming through the vehicle when it's sucking the fuel through, which were a big fault with these back in the day. While I've had the airbox off, we're just looking at this van. It's, I mean, I'll show you better later, but just speaking to me dad there, bar that, which is a chip, these arches are, and this is just dirt, it's filthy, it needs washed. I've never seen one of these in such good condition. And I've just been looking down at the subframe. Again, this van has got years on all that stuff. It is an 06, this is a 99. But that's the way, like I was showing you before, the arches go. But you've got to remember, this is, you know, a lot older vehicle. But nevertheless, this, when it was younger, did not have arches like this. This van, like I said, this has been in Devon, up and down country tracks. So it's even had the mud and the dirt, but just not the salt. And I'm going to get all that cleaned out. I'm going to get the back wheels off. I think there's something going on with the brake drum at the other side. I'll see what's going on with that. But that's here and there. I don't use the handbrake anyways when I park up. I just leave it in gear. So as long as it's not binding. But like I've said, this area here, no rust whatsoever. It looks a bit scruffy like that, but the airbox covers, you don't see that. So I've just protected all of that area, which is unseen. And down there on the subframe, which was in really good condition, just protected that. It'll get done better. I'm thinking the aircon might even work on this, so I might see me mate to see if I can get a pressure test done. If it passes the pressure test, I'll work the... Let's have a quick look while we're here. See if the pump's seized. Oh, yeah, it is. So, not good days. We're not going to be having aircon. I'll give it a little bit of a tap, but that should move. But they're the easiest air conditioning pump in the world to change these. Just 2 little bolts off and that off. You never know. I might, if it's a good runner, I might even treat myself to aircon in the summer. But we shall see how much these come to. I might even give that a little tap and see if it'll come loose and spray some oil into it. It might just be seized because it's just sat for so long. It might just be the actual clutch plate that's seized, not the pump. So yeah, might do the fuel filter when I get 2 minutes tomorrow. But that's it done. Oh yeah, just thought I'd show you. While obviously I'm missing stuff all the time here. Brand new mass airflow sensor on there. Why? Because I've got a brand new one sat here. So there's like 100 quid's worth. Nice Bosch one. That's the old one off. Nothing really too wrong with it, but you can tell it's been on there since 2006. And again, me being me, silicone grease on all the joints so you don't stress them. Obviously, all the threads that have gone back in there, greased up in case it needs to come back apart. They've been tightened, silicone grease on them if they need to be parted. I'm going to give this a bit of a clean. And I've checked for the usual cracking in between here. There's a few little perishing marks, but nothing's gone through. So that's ready to go on. I'll fire it up. I'm not expecting any issues, but this is the main one. Want to get that cleaned, and they normally take a bit of starting once you've been in there. But I need to wait, hopefully, till tomorrow for the blanket, well, the restrictor plate to come. I'm going to get all this crud cleaned out of here. There's a leak on the screen wash bottle. I put a nice full bottle of screen wash in, and it's all leaked on the floor. So we'll have a look and see what's going on underneath there, whether it's a pipe or something. But yeah, happy days. I've just realised this is fully alarmed as well, like what that one is on the boot and everything, so it's even better for the dogs. So yeah, we've got to get that airbox popped in, and that's it. And I'll catch you tomorrow whenever I get time to strip down the EGR and get that cleaned out. Catch you soon. Right guys, next day. We've got the Astra stripped down. Sorry I didn't film much of it, because we've got a bit of a slack spot, because the Fiesta's all done and sorted, ready for MOT and waiting. Corsa's all done and sorted, ready for MOT and waiting. We've got a little Swift in, which is a way of getting MOT. So it's left me with a quick hour or so to get on and have a bit to play on with this van to try and get it to start a bit better. Well, start in general, because it's not really been the best. So, what we've got the intake manifold / pipe off, which is absolutely thick, clogged with carbon. I'll just grab the light. Not that you really need the light much to see how bad that is in there. Don't know if the light shows you. There was absolutely loads in there. So there's that. I've got the the intake runner flap off. That is also clogged to high heaven. Not ideal. And also, the EGR itself is completely blocked, as you can see in there. But I can't really remove it because I've got this off with the blanking plate. I don't even know if this is the right blanking plate for this vehicle. I've just found it with a whole load of things I've had sitting around, so I can get on with it. There's an old bean tin thing there. That's off a car, that's off one, and that's off another one. That's actually the same as that one, but the other one's got the slots in, so it fits in a lot better. But with these, they've got the hole in, and the reason the hole's in, it restricts the flow right down to next to nothing. But what it does do is it doesn't set the light off. We'll give it a try. I do know you've probably got to drill them holes a bit bigger, but ideally I want to try to get it starting a little bit better. But I think this EGR valve is stuck in the fully open position. The way that all of that has gone in. So I need to get in there, get the Mr. Muscle Oven Cleaner in, so I'll catch up with you when I get on cleaning it. But just to show you from the back, I don't know if you can see, but just how bad it is in there. It is absolutely horrendous. So we'll get all that cleaned out. Phone's ringing. If it doesn't fix it, it's at least cured something that's at fault. Update on the Astra, guys. Awful, terrible, filthy job. I've had to wash my hands with all sorts of different soaps and chemicals. It's awful, this black stuff, this black carbon that comes out these diesels. Right, what have I been doing? Throttle body now. Well, a diesel shut off valve, nice and clean in there. As clean as you're going to get. This pipe was the biggest surprise. I didn't realise at first it was more or less completely blocked. Now, naturally, you can normally see a little bit of light through it. So I was spraying the Mr. Muscle Oven Cleaner into it, and normally bits, I had it up like this, and normally bits drip out. Nothing was coming out this one. So, walk with me. I'd obviously took it away outside into a corner, because I don't want all this stuff going into the garage. And I'm not joking you, I must have gotten more than a handful of carbon out of it, and I thought, wait, that's it. So I left it soaking. I'm just walking over to where it is. It's there. It's a heap. I am going to bag this up, obviously, but this is a just unused area. I'm not joking you, that is a full-on fistful of carbon that come out of that, and a lot more come out previously to that. And I thought, well, that's it. Prodded the screwdriver down it, oven cleaner. And I thought there's still not like as much coming through to what I expected a pipe of that bore to come through. So I put it into the oil drainer and rammed the screwdriver a bit more down with a pry bar, which is here, and all of that come out as well. This, for some reason on the phone, isn't actually picking up how much there is in there. There's a lot. That is a lot of carbon and debris. So that pipe being blocked as much as it was not letting enough clean air into the, because obviously this is where it goes. It comes from the EGR valve and down into the inlet manifold. That's your main pipe from your intake, basically. So I've cleaned as best as I can. I was going to take the manifold off, but all these fuel pipes go over it. If we don't get any luck after that, I'll check with the swirl flaps on it, but these are actually switch over valves. And I've cleaned all the little chamber out in there, as you can see, as best as to meet ability. And also, this sun's terrible. I don't know if you can see what you can see. That now, there you go, completely clean there. You couldn't even see those holes before. So that's hopefully freed off the valve, which is that unit on the back, inside to move freely. Also, when I've been on, I've had this off, which is the intake. That's where all the main crap comes from, the exhaust, and into there, into the EGR valve, and then that sends it along that pipe I've just been talking about into the intake, which is what you don't want. So I had a plate with a hole in, but what I did was, I'm actually 100% blanking it off this time. I will definitely get a warning light coming on, but for now, it's getting 100% blank. I will get a code saying insignificant flow, but at the what I was getting was, what was it again? The other way of insignificant, excessive EGR flow, which was caused. So excessive EGR flow means it's letting full exhaust into the intake when you're trying to start it. And what a diesel does need on startup is a nice clean burst of oxygen to get in there to get them going. A bit different to petrols. Well, within way of saying it with modern day technology. So with the intake being blocked, the EGR being completely blocked, I've cleaned all the EGR out, cleaned the intake pipe, and I've blanked the EGR off completely just with a piece of bean tin lid, basically, which I had from a previous car. I have actually got one ordered, which will be there today, which I've spent £3 on, but hey ho, £3, I'll put it in my drawer with a hole in. But I've decided with this, I'm just going to 100% blank it off. If it runs well, I'm going to get the better plate, which is 100% blank, and when I see one of my mates, and I get it mapped out. If not, live with the engine management light, because it's an 06 plate. Remember, diesels, for the MOT, the engine management light is not part of the test. Still don't really want a light on the dash, but we'll see. For now, it's totally blanked off with a temporary measure. When I see if I can get it running, see what it's like, I'll get a full blank, proper thicker stainless steel one and put it in. So there we are, and I just wanted to show you was the air filter as well. Looks blacker than really what they are, but again, it's nice to see a nice man filter. So whoever's been getting it serviced has been doing well. But I was advised it was due a service when I bought it. So we're going to get on. I'm going to get all this built back up because it's a right faff. I've had to loosen all this, the immediate intake in. Then you've got your one which goes into the intake. There's little bolts, screws, all sorts, which I've got greased up, ready to go back in. That pipe's got to go down the back of the engine. All this fastened up into place. The throttle body on, and then the link pipe to the intercooler, which is here. So yeah, a lot of faffing around, guys. So I'm going to crack on and get it done. Right, getting on with the Astra. I wanted just to show you the fuel filter I've just removed, which I've never seen on one of these before, and I've done hundreds of them, is the filter has actually fallen apart. This was stuck in the bottom. The seal was jammed. This can't have been helping the starting issue. Can you see the seal where it's just nicked there? Just where my fingers are touching there. So that wasn't in right. And the filter itself is black. I mean, the new one is the colour of that at the top, which I'll show you in a minute, but it seems very heavy at the bottom. And you can see that's not being good. But the point is, these two pieces here, that is meant to sit into there, and that is meant to sit into there, and they were parted. Now, that's going to allow, I would assume, a lot of the diesel to come out. I mean, put it one way, it's going to affect how it runs, and these are quite particular. Oh, I've already shown you all that, what I need to clean that out of there. So yeah, and obviously the one I've put in, we've got the new seal ready on there, and we've got the new, when I find the torch, the new seal on, which I need to just put into line because they tend to just go out a bit like it's done. And what you do is with these, you pre-fill them. Now I've had a little, you can just see the diesel at the side of it. You get a little jug and you fill it with diesel. You do not ever put these in dry because you will never get them started. Absolute pain in the bum. So, new fuel filter gone in. I had to do a bit of research if that was part of it, which I do believe it is. I'm going to do a little bit more research, but I'm positive that it is, and we'll see how it fits. I know straight up if these fit right or they don't. So yeah, that's it pre-filled with diesel. Going to pop it on, check the seal goes in right, tighten it up, and hopefully that's another thing solved of the issues I've been having with it. I've got diesel on my fingers, and I'm trying to switch over the camera. So there we go. Update on the Astra. That's how we're getting on with that. Right guys, a quick one, update on the Astra. I don't even know how many videos there is of this. I'm worried it's a bit too much, but a few developments on it. First up, I knew it had a screen wash leak because I mentioned I just bought some, actually for 99p, a whole bag of Admiral, it was actually summer screen wash, but it didn't freeze whatsoever. So what I've done is, I had found out the leak was dripping directly. You'll see these wires hanging down from the ECU. It was the little seal, which obviously it was leaking from that area there, which I've done loads of, the little filter, which goes out the screen wash pump. But if you look at the bottom, by God, I can't believe it's zooming in. The bottom's all cracked, there's like a hole. And don't ask us why, if there's a hole in this gauze, it acts as like a siphon and allows it to somehow come out. This was stuck to the bottom of the pump as well, and they're only like £3 or something like that from Vauxhall. So I'm just getting a brand new one because A, I don't want it all leaking out every time I put screen wash in, but B, this is the ECU that sits directly below, right here, all that water dripping on it. Yes, it's got a full waterproof plastic casing on the top, and yes, these wires and stuff are insulated, but we don't want water going in the ECU. Now, there's another reason why the ECU's off anyway. I didn't have to remove it to do this job. Swing the camera around. Me mate who does the remapping says, look, Dan, I can do a EGR delete on it and a stage 1 remap, which actually looked all right. But he's looked into this ECU, what's in it, and he said it's not the type that can be reflashed. Bummer. But it saved us a bit of money. Up to now, touch wood, touching real wood there, the van has actually been starting perfectly in the this morning and throughout today. And I'm always going to get the little engine management light on saying excessive flow, because we know that that it's blanked off completely. But I did already have one of these ordered, a special. I've just stuck a bean tin piece in that I had sitting around. This is a proper stainless steel, so it won't rot. It's a good mil thick, and it did have a 8 or 9 mil hole in the middle, but I've drilled that to exactly 10 mil, because from experience I know that if you have anything less than 10 mil, it will set the light off still. So that creates that little hole. Forget the 2 holes at either side, that's to fasten it in by. The one in the centre, so you're reducing the hole from the whole circumference of this gasket. In fact, I'll show you a better example, if I don't trip over Harvey, of one that's been fitted and it might have a mark on it. Yes, it does. And you see the black mark on that? That's roughly, maybe a little bit bigger, of the hole that lets the gas through. So what you're doing is you're restricting the hole by 2/3 or more. So it still lets I'll just put this back. So it still lets the flow of gas through. So hopefully it doesn't set the light off, but it just restricts it. So basically what it is if you're going to do that's never been stripped apart, and all that crap that's come out of that's been 123,000 mile, and however old the van is, nearly, 16 years or something. So by doing that, you're going to reduce 16 years to flipping, like you can double that figure and more, which the van's never going to be around that long. So that's the purpose of this, for the grand sum of like £4 Bertie or something. If anybody's interested in these, he does them for just about every diesel vehicle and some petrols you can imagine. Stainless steel, proper smooth edges, cut, machine polished, the whole lot, laser cut. They're fantastic. I've used this guy for 10, 15 years now. Great. Very inexpensive way of doing it. So we're going to do that. We're going to refit the ECU. Tomorrow from Vauxhall, the new seal's coming, so that'll be fitting, but I can't fit the ECU before that because I've got the wheel arch liner off. And what I have done, just in case any more water gets in, I've put some silicone grease, not on the terminals inside of there, but around the edges, because these little pucks on the end were a nightmare. And what they end up doing is breaking. So now, I can't really show you, but now they slide in and out, lovely, like that. I cannot do it there, but before they were so tight because all the rubbish gets into there. So what I have done, put a little bit of silicone grease on the terminals of that to waterproof it, and a little bit on the runners, the slides, which them slides pull themselves in and secure it to it. So we're going to get that fitted, and like I've mentioned, tomorrow the seal's in, that'll be on. So that's this area done. Little bit of a whip around here, but they all do. It's a little bit on the sump there. Not going to worry about it, and not even going to touch it because it doesn't drip whatsoever. It's just a little bit wet. If anything, guys, it's rust-proofing. No problems there. But first up, I don't want to move me light. In fact, I'm going to turn that light off to save the battery. You'll have to just make do with what you can see. Look at how good this thing is. The subframe is still like new. And this side, don't worry about this oil. That's from me being up there cleaning out the EGR. So that all that running down there is being from me cleaning. Yes, it's a bit damp around here. They all are. But the main thing is up at the turbo up there. Oh, hold on. I'll just get the light. The turbo up there is absolutely just a little clamshell turbo. Bone dry, which is important. Brand new alternator. Brand new starter motor. pig to fit. Brand new battery, by the looks of it. Recent front discs. New rear shockers, Satch ones. Happy days. One new rear spring at this side, and this one not so much, but that pennies and a doddle to do, so we're not bothered. Somebody's done a really nice job of the brake pipes, I will say. Very neat, whoever's done them. Full new brake pipes throughout. 4 brand new tyres. Newish arm, maybe there. I've just rubbed that down. Again, that's diesel for me changing the fuel filter. Really, really happy with this. When you get a look around this subframe and that body up there, it is absolutely like nothing else I've seen for one of these. Look at them sills along there. The floor pan. No rust anywhere. Even the fuel pipes here usually rot where they turn from plastic to metal. But somebody's done a lovely neat job of them brake pipes, I will say. But that subframe, it's even got the factory markings on it. Even there at the back where they go badly. Just a little bit of brown, that's it. Nothing. And good nick even underneath there, that. So yeah, I'm happy enough. Happy enough with that, I am. Yep. Exhaust a bit rough, but they always are on these. Nothing to worry about there. But yeah, happy days. Just thought I'd update you on how it's going. I'm going to get this ECU fitted into place. Maybe strip down a little bit of the pipe work. And get that blanking plate fitted with the hole in, and that's enough for today. Oh, and that's what it was. These back wheels are just a little bit tight. I might just whip the back wheels off and free off the drums, the shoes inside, or if anything's required, change it. Bar that, needs a good wash, and I'm going to get it out on the road, get it taxed on... First is Wednesday next week, get it taxed and get it used. I'll catch you soon. Right guys, bit of an update. Again, I'm keeping I don't know how many parts I'm going to put in this, but Project Astra, it's 7 o'clock on a Friday evening. As you can see, I'm black. First up, screen wash. Nice new seal from Vauxhall. Lovely company, delivered it, £4. That's the old one, what's knackered. New one's gone in. Apart from a tiny little bit of leak, but that was me missing the hole. But up there now, that's actually ran from further up. All I'm going to do is give that a rub and then leave it for the rest of the weekend. And if I come back and there's a pool, then I'll have to be redoing it. But that's full to the brim and nothing's come out. Them run marks are actually down from the spout. So that's that done. Again, you might have noticed, I don't know if the camera bag does that justice, but that is about 2 kilos. I've got Hunter here in amongst it all, and Harvey. That is one out of there. One hell of a pile of dirt. And over there as well, which is all, I've just cleaned out all the arches with the airline and with the brush, and I'm absolutely up the eyes now. So they're cleaned out. And that one's done as well. I've stripped down the back drums. I'll see if I can just take this off, 2 seconds. Just like that. Somebody's fitted new shoes, but they hadn't routed the cable, for some reason, the handbrake cable, under that little hook. It was right round and over at the back. No idea why, but more to the point, these cylinders are really tight. They're only about 14, 15 quid each. So this one's just as bad, and this wheel was actually tight at this side. So I'm going to stick 2 new wheel cylinders on, and that's it, because by the looks of it, someone's obviously fitted new handbrake cables, new shoes. So 2 new wheel cylinders, and that's the whole back braking system, good as new. So that'll be ready to go next week. Now what I am going to do now is possibly change the oil. I don't know if I have time or if I can be bothered, but what I've got going in the office here is just a can of Underseal body Schultz with added wax oil. It's just busy heating up there in front of the heater. And I'm just going to see how it works, give that a little blast. While there's no other vehicles, apart from me other old Astra, which I've covered up, a quick blast, see how much of it I can get done. As long as I can get in them inner arches and along the chassis wheels at the back, and a little bit in the front wheel arches where the majority of the crap gets in, be happy days. So that's what I'm up to. That's how far we've getting. I'll catch you up later on. But honestly, I can't explain that for some reason on camera doesn't give it justice. But it's almost the size of Hunter, that pile there. I'm not joking you, both them together, it'll be about 3 kilos of Devon, finest Devon dirt. And look at him sitting there. He doesn't understand what I'm doing. You just want to go home, don't you? Do you want to just go home and get your dinner? He just wants a walk. So, and the other one standing there. So yeah, I'll catch you when I've done the wax oiling. I've got the wheel trims off as well. On the top, I'm going to give them all a good rinse and cable tie them back on when I'm sorted. But yeah, good condition little van. Happy days. It's not due MOT till March, the end of March. But to be honest, I might just stick a full MOT on it and be done. And I know it's sorted for the year. Starting issue, I think I've sorted that. Like you've seen, the blanket plate has been fine since. As well as that fuel filter wouldn't have been helping. So all we've got left for the service to do now is an oil and filter change and the pollen filter. And also it's due a really good clean. It's filthy. But all that stuff I can do on the floor. I want it off. I want to get the majority of everything done I want to do to it on the lift. So on Tuesday, get the wheel cylinders done, wheels on, then it's starting, which it hasn't been doing, and it's off the lift, and I can get on with pollen filters, washing it, take it home if required, no problem. So I'll get back to you when we've got that done. Right guys, I'm back in here on my day off on Monday at 5:45. Purely to get a few jobs done before the rush of the work tomorrow through the week. So as we know, the brake drums, we're waiting for the cylinders to be delivered. The shoes, everything are mint in there, handbrake cables new. But what we do need to do is get the cylinders changed because they're seized. Well, they're free, but they're very tight. For the sake of 12, like 15 quid each, 30 quid, get them done. Forget about the back brake, we know they're done. I went around with the wax oil the other day, the black stuff, on Friday before we left. And I've done little bits. I'm not quite sure how much of it you'll be able to see, because it is still quite dark, but you can see there. I've got some more ordered to do along the rest of the chassis and stuff. But what I have got is, like I mentioned to you, up here is your fuel pump. It's very dark in here, but I'm busy charging the lights. You see, I don't want to... let's have a look if this light's got any charge. It has. If you look up there, top of the torch, on the side of the pump, the plug's off. That's the high pressure fuel pump. And what we've got over here, I don't want to get my hands dirty because I haven't got gloves on yet. Just switching this light off. Don't know why it's... Right. And I can't believe how quick it came. I ordered this on Friday evening, late on, and it came this morning. Genuine Bosch. The box is in a bit of a mess. I was a little bit suspicious it could be fake. But do you know what it is? I got this for £28 delivered. Genuine Bosch. I mean, it's got all the proper holograms on, and you can see there that the hologram Bosch. I can't imagine anybody would go to that effort. Fake holograms. The proper part number. The same part number is on the box. And there's my old one, as you can see. And there's the new one. Identical plugs. 2 pins. There we go, 2 pins. And the same kind of base, as you can see, if you put it that way. Like that. As you can see, I don't know if I explained this or not. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. But what this is a suction control valve. To anybody who doesn't know what it is, some diesels have an in-tank pump, a low-pressure pump, which is like a petrol, primes when you put your ignition on, and it primes diesel up to the fuel filter and pressurises the system. These don't. Quite a lot of cars don't, actually. This is why, obviously, that's a different engine, but same idea. And what happens is, when you turn the engine over, the high-pressure fuel pump turns. But what it needs to do is determine how much diesel it needs to draw in. So on idle, naturally, the valve is pretty much closed. It's only taking in a small little dribble of diesel because the pump doesn't need to be running at massively high temperatures, at high pressures. When you floor the car or put it under load or like rev it hard, it opens the valve because it knows it's got the cup for the fuel filter. I don't know if there's bonnets on the catch on this car. This is exactly the same car. I'll just see if I can... Right. Now I've just realised, 2 seconds, I need to put the bonnet up. I may as well explain it on this one. Forget it's a different engine, same principle. It's exactly the same fuel filter housing this. So this is like a big cup, and you've seen us change the fuel filter. So you've got diesel coming in, and then what doesn't get used and leaks back goes out and back to the tank. Now what happens is when you rev this hard, when it's just idling or driving on a normal load, just the nature of the pump, the suction, keeps that chamber, like a reserve, full. So if you need to floor it, you've got that amount of diesel in there, like a cup of diesel ready to go. If you've got a pump in the tank, that's continuously priming and keeping it full. But with these, they don't. So what they rely on the fuel pump, is this little valve. And all this valve does is creates suction to the fuel return pipe and the fuel intake pipe, basically to cause a vacuum, to keep the constant flow diesel coming. I'm not 100% convinced this is the right, going to fix it, but for 28 quid, a genuine Bosch unit, it's getting done. It's been on there from new, it's looking a bit rusty, and actually on this engine that are well known to go wrong. So, I'm going to change it. I have on Toyotas changed these a lot years ago, and the main issue that would cause is poor starting and cutting out, and that's exactly what this is doing. Poor starting and cutting out and no fault codes, and that's what a lot of them also come up with as well. But I've had a bit of a development, but I'll just go around to something else first. But like I've mentioned with DPF pressure sensors, I don't know why I'm pointing to this car because there's never one, but you know the sensor fitted to my car, you need to tell the car that it's got, the van, that it's got a new sensor on, I think. So what my mate Darren, thank you very much Darren, has lent us this really old laptop which you need to run Opcom, which I'm just going to open up. And that's the Opcom lead. It's exactly the same as like VAGCOM, VCDS, what I use on the Volkswagens, but this is for Vauxhalls. You can program in cruise control, God knows what, with this. And you connect it up and you get a full code read as well. I will be keeping this off Darren for a little while I'm doing it. So I'm hoping in here there'll be an option to spin it around to reset the fuel pump or reset the 2 moments. I think that's Harvey outside. It is. My dad's just turned up. He's been at the hospital picking me grandma up. Anyways, so we might need to tell the van that it's got a new one. So I don't know, a lot of people say that plug and play, but I've borrowed the Voc Tech 2 or whatever they call it. So I want to plug it in once it's fitted and see if there's a relearn procedure to say that it's got it. So that's that done. But I'm still not convinced this is going to work. I do know, I'm pretty positive, not to put all my eggs in one basket, it's that EGR valve. I've done a bit of research and I've asked a few specialists. And if these EGR valves don't sit in the right position, a lot of them, like this car, work on vacuums. And they're pretty much all right, they're no bother. But with this being Euro 4, by the meaning of Euro 4, everything has to be monitored electronically. But before anybody says the exhaust's hanging off down, it's just the outer skin. The whole exhaust is absolutely fine. I don't know why they're fitted with dual skins, but I'm telling you that'll last another good 3 or 4 years. Trust us, you might be laughing there. It looks a hell of a lot worse than it is. But you're better off just leaving the originals till they fail, because the aftermarket ones are shit. So anyways, the EGRs on them, again, it's a little motor. It's very much, actually, like one of these. It's a little valve, little motor and a little valve that pushes in and out. And the computer knows, because there's about 4 or 5 wires going to it, the computer knows exactly where that valve is. So he has opened, he has closed. If it's getting jammed and it's about there, when he comes to start up, it messes up all the map. It gives it the wrong fuel intake, it gives it the wrong everything. It just totally cocks up all of the oil, the fuel air mixture and everything to the point they won't start. And loads of people have come up, EGR, EGR, EGR. Now, as you know, I had it fully blanked off all last week. And it started first time, every time perfectly. Thursday night, I put the plate on with the hole drilled in, and then it played up on the Friday night when I come to start it up. So that's shown that when it's fully blanked off, it's okay. When it's got the hole in, still allowing gas through, that's when it causes problems. So there's nothing I can do, because if I fully blank it like I did, I get the engine management light up and it does that mild limp mode. It restricts it to 3000 revs. It's perfectly usable, but it's not running at its full tick. Or if I put the plate on, it's a pig to start. And then you don't get the EGR code. So I thought, everyone's like, you need a new EGR valve. I want to get it mapped out, and the guy says, I took the ECU off, think you want to see it, and he goes, I can't do it for some reason, I don't know why. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm stuck here. I can either blank it off and I'm in a partly restricted mode. I can leave it and it won't start. And I can't do nothing else about it. So I've been doing some scouring, which is always worth it. Scour part numbers. £700 from Vauxhall for a new EGR valve. Definitely not. Eurocar pots, so we deal with all the time. A supposed OE brand one. £380 plus the VAT. So you're looking at like £420 or something. Definitely not. Scoured eBay. A few cheap shit ones. A few second-hand ones for like £100. No way. In this one company. I knew the look of it because when I had it all stripped down, it hasn't even got Vauxhall written on it. It's got Isuzu printed on it because it's an Isuzu engine. Brand new Vauxhall in the box, but an Isuzu part because that's what you would get from Vauxhall. The £700 one, £80. £80. It was £90 on make an offer, and I offered £80 and they accepted. Brand spanking new OE Isuzu in a Vauxhall box with a Vauxhall part number, exactly what's fitted from brand new, £80. So I'm fitting this suction control valve now. See if I can get it. It probably won't start because it's got air in the system, but see how it does start, if it does start at all. Then what I'm going to do is quickly whip the plate out with the hole in and stick in the fully blank one, just the cheapo one I've got, just to put it in. And if it starts, because I know it'll not start now, and I'm going to do a test, and if it doesn't start tomorrow, if it does start first time tomorrow, we know it's been that valve. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put the valve in, try and get it to start, leave it overnight, and if it doesn't start in the morning, I'm going to take the blanking plate out with the hole in and put the fully blank one, and if it starts straight away after that and then starts the next morning, which will be when the valve's delivered a couple of days, then we'll change it. Well, I'm going to change it anyways because it's definitely not right. That's the whole point, how it's all clogged up and gone wrong. But for £80 and £20 for argument's sake, £110, I've getting nearly £1,000 worth of gear. You know what I mean? So we're going to get that done. Happy days. So I'm going to crack on now. I'm going to quickly show you what else I've got. A touch-up pen, because there's odd few little marks around it. Again, autocolours.co.uk, fantastic company. This, Northern Ireland, it's usually here next day. Great. That's a very, 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 very slight weep that they all have on one of the gaiters for the steering rack, but all these do the same. That thing's done it for years. Just a little bit of dampness, you cannot see. So I'm going to stick a leak sealer in it and top the fluid up. And trust us, it'll be fine. So I'm going to leave it there. And all this valve is, I don't mean to do any video, and make sure there's a bit of grease on the seals, a tiny bit. Push it in. The securing bolts are a pain in the arse to get the one at the back. Plug it in, let the diesel cycle through, and I might come back to you when I've got the computer attached to see if there's anything I can reprogram or whatever. If there isn't, we'll just have to hope it fires up and runs. Catch you soon. Right guys, I'll just show you that the suction control valve is up there. Don't worry about that stuff. It's I'll try and get the phone up there. It's just a bit of grease on the heads so they don't rust. The security, the blue piece, put back on. Bit of silicone grease onto the plug. Bit of silicone grease onto the two seals so it pops in nicely. That's the bottom one and the top one, but there's one down the back there. If you can just see it, that's the pin to get in. I had to use the magnet to get it in. So that's it. Fitted. I'm going to try and get it started now. I'm not going to film it because it'll probably take a while for it to go. And I'm also going to get the computer on. If that doesn't do it, my friend from the garage up the road's got Delphi equipment. And actually, as you've seen, the ECU on these Astras are Delphi. So if that can't reprogram it, as it happens, he's coming tomorrow. So we can do a service reset on a Jeep for him. So he can use my equipment and I'll use his to do a reset on that. I don't even know if they need to be done, but we'll see. I'm going to see what Tech 2 does, and I'm going to... I don't know about our scanner. I didn't go into the fuel pump and injector side of it, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. Like I've mentioned, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. I don't think this is probably going to fix it. I think it's more going to be the EGR, which is ordered, which I'm going to get on with in a bit of free time tomorrow, stripping down. I was going to do it tonight, but I want to get away from here and go and see my grandma quickly because she's just been took home from hospital. So I'm going to try and get this running, see what it's like. And that's it. That's enough done for the night. My only aim I wanted to do was get that suction control valve fitted before dust and everything's flying around tomorrow when we're working for getting inside the high pressure fuel pump. Catch you soon, guys. Whatever result I have, I'll catch up with you tomorrow.